This video is brought to you by Audible. Click the link in the description or text COMPANYMAN to 500 500 to get a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial.
Gatorade. H2O.
It's becoming the age-old question. Gatorade or water? Which is better? Clearly, it's Gatorade since it has electrolytes. Duh. It'd be nice if the answer were that simple. I'll explore that question a little more throughout the video, but what I really want to focus on is Gatorade itself. This is something that started as a drink intended to help one specific college football team, the Florida Gators. Yet today, it's Gatorade. We all know Gatorade. They're the official sports drink of the NBA and the NFL and the MLB and the NHL and NASCAR, practically all the major American sports leagues. It's become a symbol of victory. They completely dominate their market. Who else even compares? Powerade? Please. So how did they do it? How did Gatorade get this big? It's been a progression. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over a period of more than 50 years. Within these 50 years, there were 3 specific events that I would say were all vital to Gatorade's success. Without any one of them, I don't think it would be quite what it is today. For the first one, let's go back to that 1965 Florida Gators team. It's hot in Florida. The team had long, exhausting practices in the summer, followed by long, exhausting games. The players would get tired, really tired. The scientists over at the University of Florida had some ideas about how to help the issue. Here's their thought process. The players lose water through sweating, so drinking water solves the hydration problem. But they also lose sodium when they sweat. So in the same way, they should be replacing that sodium. Their blood sugar drops too. Maybe they should eat some sugar. Their solution was to blend salt and sugar and everything else that runs low by the end of the game into a delicious lemon-flavored drink. That's what all the electrolytes are, by the way. The idea was that if the players maintained proper levels of all these chemicals, they wouldn't get tired as easily. They'd have more endurance, and in general have a little competitive edge over their opponent. When I say it like this, it all seems to make perfect sense. And it really looked like it worked. With the introduction of Gatorade, the team got better. They had a much better season, less injuries. They won the Orange Bowl that year. The team even became famous for doing well late in games, right when their opponents were starting to run low on electrolytes. I'd say if you were looking simply at correlation, Gatorade looks like a miracle drink. But if you're concerned with causation, it's hard to believe. Their success probably had something to do with the team or the players or the coaches, rather than what they were drinking. To say it was all because of the Gatorade is a little crazy. Even if it was doing what it was supposed to do, it's just one of many factors. But either way, the Gatorade was generally thought to be the reason for their improvement. Because of this, there was a high demand for it. The demand was much higher than a group of university scientists could provide. The scientists sold Gatorade to a company called Stokely Van Camp. The details of the sale are a bit of a mess. The scientists developed the formula in their own time, but using the school's facilities. But a large percentage of their funding came from government grants. It's a whole complicated legal issue, but the result of it is that the school ended up with the percentage of the royalties. To this day, the University of Florida gets money from each bottle of Gatorade sold. Since it's been happening for 45 years, and since Gatorade sells a lot of bottles these days, this has been a very good thing for the university. So that's my first event, the Gatorade brand being sold to the Stokely Van Camp company. It was invented and popularized at the school, but it's this company that was able to make it available to the public in a real way. A different way to think about this is that if the Florida Gators hadn't done so well that year, we probably wouldn't have Gatorade today. There wouldn't have been demand for it. The Stokely Van Camp people wouldn't have wanted it, and it would have never left the university. The Van Camp deal happened in 1967. They spent 16 years doing good things for the Gatorade name. They made it available to people, they brought awareness to it. It was much bigger in 1983 than it was in 1967. I used that specific year of 1983 because that's when the next big thing happened. The Stokely Van Camp Company was acquired by Quaker Oats. It was a big acquisition at the time. Gatorade became a significant part of Van Camp's business, but there was much more to it. They're most known for their canned foods, specifically baked beans. Similar to the deal before, Gatorade was put in the hands of people who could do much more with it. As soon as Quaker Oats became the owner, big things started happening. Gatorade blew up. In the 1980s, it became an international product. It was sold in Canada, Europe, South America, Asia, but it grew domestically as well. A big part of the domestic growth was due to a celebrity endorsement, possibly one of the most popular and effective celebrity endorsements of all time. In August of 1991, Quaker Oats paid Michael Jordan $13.5 million to endorse Gatorade for the next 10 years. Any basketball fans could back me up in the comments when I say few athletes have ever been more popular than Michael Jordan was in the 1990s. Locking in that endorsement for a product like Gatorade was a perfect move. If you've ever heard the phrase, "be like Mike," it was even the name of a movie. Well, it comes from this campaign. Growing up in the 90s, and, well, since my name is Mike, I heard this constantly. So that was the second event, the acquisition by Quaker Oats. They were a large company that poured their resources into growing the brand, bringing it to other countries, hiring the biggest athlete in the world to endorse it. These are things that helped Gatorade. Through the 1980s and 1990s, Quaker Oats made the world aware of it. Gatorade was much bigger in 2001 than it was in 1983. I say 2001 because that's when the third event happened. It's just going to be me telling a very similar story for a third time. Yet again, Gatorade was put into the hands of someone who could do more with it. This time, Pepsi. In this year, Pepsi bought all of Quaker Oats. In addition to Gatorade, the deal included Captain Crunch, Aunt Jemima. Quaker Oats makes a lot of things you probably didn't realize. But now, Pepsi owns all of it. They have the resources needed to further grow the Gatorade brand. They have the knowledge, experience. When it comes to further advancing something like a sports drink, Pepsi is someone who can do it, and they have been. Gatorade is much larger now than it was in 2001. In 2010, they went through a complete rebranding. It's now sold in 3 phases: Prime, Perform, and Recover, meant to be drunk before, during, or after the workout or activity. It was a bold move. Changing something that's been mostly unchanged for so long, that's always a risk. Plus, mostly taking the product name off the label, that's something you don't see often. They're relying on the customer recognizing the bottle shape and the G with the lightning bolt in it, I suppose. But I see no evidence that it hurt them in any way. They made the changes 8 years ago and they haven't looked back. The journey of Gatorade reminds me of those fish that keep growing to the size of their tank. The university was the little tank, it couldn't grow much more with them. But then it kept upgrading to bigger tanks, until now it's with Pepsi. And that's the biggest tank available. There's not much further it can grow. And remember how I mentioned Powerade in the beginning? Well, Powerade is owned by the Coca-Cola Company, meaning the battle between Gatorade and Powerade is really just part of the war between Coke and Pepsi. I would have never thought that. The most recent market share data I could find is from 2015, but it shows Gatorade controls 77% of the market and Powerade controls 20%, showing us that these two control the entire industry, but also, Gatorade is dominating. 77% is a massive percentage. But keep in mind, Gatorade started the industry. It used to have a 100% market share, back when the market was smaller. I just stated some statistics to convince you of something that I'm sure you already knew. Gatorade is beating Powerade. My point is that this round goes to Pepsi. Getting back to the original question, is Gatorade superior to water? On the side of Gatorade, it does have electrolytes that we sometimes joke about, but they are things we need. On the side of water, there's no sugar, nothing bad for you, it's just water. I'm not an authority to answer the question, but the popular belief, confirmed through many sources including Livestrong and Men's Fitness, seems to be that it depends on the duration and the intensity of the workout. If you're just jogging around the block, you're not going to be low on electrolytes, so no need for Gatorade. Now, if you're playing a full-length football game, you'll probably start to run low and could probably benefit from some Gatorade. We've had a bit of a fitness theme on this channel for the last couple of weeks, and it makes me want to bring up the topic of New Year's resolutions one more time, which is good because it ties in perfectly with my sponsor, Audible, who happens to be the leading provider of premium digital spoken audio information and entertainment on the internet. I downloaded a book from them called The Power of Habit, and I just think it'd be great for anyone trying to keep their resolution. It talks about the impact that habits can have and how even the smallest change in habit could leak into other parts of your life in a way that you wouldn't believe. And thanks to Audible, you can download it for free. They're offering a 1-month free trial that includes a free audiobook that you get to keep forever. The Power of Habit comes highly recommended by me, but if for whatever reason it's not for you, you can exchange it for something else. Audible has a wide variety of books, so you shouldn't have much trouble finding something new. To take advantage of this offer, simply go to audible.com/companyman. I've linked it in the description to make it easy for you, or you can text CompanyMan, that's COMPANYMAN, to 500-500. That'll get you a free audiobook and the 30-day free trial. But before you do that, let me know in the comments any thoughts you have about Gatorade. It's a unique rise to popularity that's highlighted by 3 distinct events, all of which were transfers of ownership. It's a journey that proves the importance of ownership and the power of larger companies. As the companies got larger, they were more able to influence customers. Also, if there's any athletes watching this, please share any experiences you've had concerning the water versus Gatorade debate. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Gatorade not only quenches your thirst better, it tastes better too.
Thank you for watching.